In 1864, during the American Civil War, several soldiers took cover inside a small, cramped bunker. The air was thick with smoke and tension. Moments later, an enemy attack tears through their shelter, scattering debris everywhere and igniting a chaotic, desperate fight.
The quiet orchestra of death.
Among the soldiers is Lee Briggs, who braces himself for the oncoming battle, muscles tense and senses heightened. Just as he prepares to engage, his commander calls him aside, interrupting his focus and changing the course of his immediate actions.
I met General McLean in the last summer of the war.
The commander explains that a strange object has been discovered east of the Colorado Basin and assigns Lee to investigate, expressing confidence that he is brave and capable enough to handle the mission.
Now, I've got a job for you, Briggs.
Although Lee feels uneasy about leaving his comrades behind during active combat, he ultimately accepts the order, knowing duty demands obedience. As he travels toward the unknown destination, his thoughts drift to the trials of war he has endured and the difficult moral questions that have haunted him, weighing heavily on his mind with every step.
Why do we struggle to breathe a more righteous breath?
The story then shifts 175 years into the future, in the year 2039, where U.S. astronaut Lee Miller arrives at an abandoned space station. It is the first time in 20 years that anyone has set foot on the station, and his mission is to inspect its structural integrity and make repairs so it can be used again.
Hill 32 Delta, this is Cambridge. Do you have a fix on us? Over.
Upon arrival, he contacts Mission Control in Houston, providing a detailed initial report. They confirm his health readings are stable and give him the go-ahead to continue. They also send him an audio recording from before his departure, laughing at how nervous and terrified he had sounded at the time.
To be one of the first to be going back after so long.
Over the next several days, Lee establishes a steady routine that includes exercising, reading, and listening to music, keeping both his body and mind sharp for the work ahead. He maintains consistent communication with the team on Earth, updating them on his progress and discoveries aboard the station.
Receive them?
Looks like it. Thanks.
One day he receives a video call he initially mistakes for a clip from his favorite nighttime show, but he quickly realizes it is a personal message from his brother. In the recording, his brother shares the joyful news of his child's birth and expresses how much he misses Lee, saying he cannot wait to introduce him to his newborn son. The message touches Lee deeply, stirring emotions he had tried to suppress.
The clip from the Late Show?
Negative. I believe the chefs get that to you.
Take care of yourself, please. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Suddenly, the video feed cuts off, replaced by loud interference that disrupts the communication completely. Lee attempts to confirm with Mission Control whether they are experiencing the same issue, but no reply comes through. He tries repeatedly, but the connection remains silent and unresponsive, leaving him isolated in the vast emptiness of space.
This is ISS 37. Did you guys pick up that radio interference?
Assuming the station's radio system is malfunctioning, Lee attempts to repair it and briefly reestablishes a weak signal. When he tries to consult the station's manual for guidance, he discovers it is written entirely in Russian, complicating his efforts to restore communication.
Video with English buttons and then write a manual for it in Russian.
After several days of repeated attempts, he inspects the communication systems again, only to find they still fail entirely. Trapped in orbit with no way to reach Earth, his worry steadily increases, but he continues methodically moving through the station, inspecting each section and repairing whatever he can, determined to maintain both the station and his own sense of purpose.
Cambridge, this is ISS. Do you copy?
At one point, Lee finally receives a recorded message from someone at Mission Control. The man's voice is tense, filled with urgency, and he explains that a serious and unprecedented event has occurred on Earth. He warns that they no longer have the ability to maintain live communication and that no one is available to bring Lee back at the moment. The man instructs Lee to remain calm, sit tight, and wait for them to fix the situation as best they can.
I wanted to bring you out of orbit. I don't have the people to do it.
Hearing this, Lee is immediately overwhelmed, his thoughts racing to his family and their safety. He tries repeatedly to get more details, but no further response comes. Frustrated and on edge, he suggests that if this is some kind of test or joke, it should be stopped immediately. He reasons that if they were able to send the recording, they should be able to hear his responses, yet silence continues to answer him.
Because I'm very isolated and very stressed.
He keeps asking for answers, but only emptiness returns. Eventually, he accepts the possibility that he may be stranded for an unknown, potentially indefinite length of time. To release his anger and maintain his strength, he exercises rigorously throughout the station. Afterward, he inspects the life support systems, ensuring they are fully operational to prolong his survival. He begins sealing off certain sections to conserve oxygen and carefully limits his food supply. One morning, he wakes from a vivid dream of his space shuttle being destroyed. Drinking water to calm himself, he walks through the station, inspecting its condition. During his rounds, he discovers a pair of headphones and puts them on, hoping to hear something that can fill the heavy silence. Lee continues his routine of exercising and reading, but the prolonged lack of human contact begins to weigh on his mind. Over the following days, his sense of isolation grows stronger, and he becomes restless, lashing out by throwing objects and staring endlessly into the emptiness of space. While exploring the station, he discovers photographs of astronauts who had been there before him. Seeking any form of connection, he begins speaking to the images, introducing himself as the captain.
Since I am the captain, my name is Lee.
One photograph of a woman draws his attention, and he starts behaving as though she is physically present, sharing his thoughts with her imagined presence. Looking down at Earth, he watches as cities go dark one by one until the planet is nearly completely without light. Later, while dreaming of being with her, Lee is abruptly awakened by smoke spreading throughout the station. Panic surges, and he quickly dons his breathing apparatus, rushing to locate the source. He finds a blocked valve, opens it, and allows the smoke to be vented, stabilizing the situation. The incident starkly reminds him how vulnerable he is, and that no one is around to help in emergencies. Afterward, he sits quietly before the woman's photograph, imagining moments they might share together. In his mind, they go out to dinner, with him dressed in a sharp suit, sharing stories and laughter. They walk along the shoreline, watching the sun sink into the ocean, savoring long, quiet moments together. These imagined experiences provide him with fleeting comfort, a small refuge against the crushing loneliness of the station and the endless silence of space.
Throw on a suit. We'll head down.
As more time passes, Lee's loneliness deepens into despair. Believing that his survival is unlikely, he begins ignoring the station's rules entirely. He removes his clothes and spins aimlessly in a chair, losing himself in the motion. He also uses water recklessly, letting it spread throughout the station without concern for the delicate equipment. He repeatedly listens to the only message from his brother, clinging to it, and searches obsessively for anything that might help him pass the endless, crushing time.
Open a show.
That's right. You've got a nephew, and he's...
Later, while attempting to replay the recorded message from his brother, Lee's computer stops working due to ongoing power issues. This small failure only adds to his growing frustration and simmering anger. As the electrical problems continue to worsen, he moves into an unpressurized section of the station to attempt repairs, working in isolation and under extreme stress.
The station's broken.
After spending more time alone, he begins experiencing vivid hallucinations. He sees the female astronaut from the photographs around him, acting as if she is present, interacting with him, and showing interest. Even though he is aware that these visions are not real, he continues to engage with her, his ability to think clearly weakening with each passing day.
It's probably in mine too.
A few days later, while moving through a depressurized area to repair the power system, he discovers a book covered in worn, aged material. He brings it back to the main section of the station and opens it, noticing it is dated 1864. The book turns out to be the journal of Captain Lee Briggs, the same soldier he had seen in earlier memories. As Lee reads, he becomes deeply absorbed in the vivid accounts of the Civil War recorded within its pages.
22nd Connecticut, 7th Infantry Division.
At one point, he imagines hearing a woman's voice asking him about his favorite season. When he tries to respond, he struggles to remember and finally admits that he no longer knows. The voice answers in a sad tone, explaining that seasons no longer exist for him and that only time continues to move forward, indifferent to his circumstances.
Just
As he continues reading the journal, Lee learns that Briggs wrote about repeatedly losing during the Civil War, despite his best efforts. These words strike a deep chord, reflecting Lee's own uncertainty and helplessness. With nothing else to occupy his mind, he begins copying the drawings from the journal onto the station's walls, attempting to visualize the battles and events described.
Lying here. Nerves this often.
Later, he passes time by playing cards alone, imagining other people with him. When he loses, he reacts with irritation and walks away, frustrated by the absence of companionship.
He's a sore loser.
While reading further, he comes across the entry where Briggs is assigned to investigate the mysterious object, but the journal abruptly ends before revealing what was discovered. This lack of closure infuriates Lee, and he throws the book aside in anger, desperate to know what Lee Briggs had found.
Tell us what you found. What did you die before you had a chance?
Soon after, he begins imagining the woman again, interacting with her as if she were real. She asks whether it troubles him that she does not exist, but he remains silent. They consider the idea of leaving the station, yet he reasons that abandoning it would prevent a rescue team from ever finding anyone, which would be a serious loss. He admits that he no longer feels fear. In his weakened, deteriorating condition, he has nothing left to lose or anything worth being afraid of anymore.
Deal with all this time.
The story then moves to the year 2045, showing that Lee is still trapped aboard the station. He has been unable to restore communication with Earth, and his oxygen system is now failing rapidly. Faced with this hopeless situation, he decides to stop struggling to survive. He records a final heartfelt message and sends it toward Earth. In it, he explains that he has spent more than 6 long, lonely years on the station, waiting in vain for rescue. He introduces himself, stating his full name and who he once was.
Alone. I have come to terms.
He warns that the life support system can no longer be trusted and that he is slowly running out of oxygen. He admits that he would rather have Earth itself as his final resting place than remain trapped in the empty, lifeless station. He also confesses that he still does not understand why he was left behind or why no one attempted to contact him during all those years of isolation.
Forever remain a mystery.
Feeling completely defeated and broken, Lee puts on a spacesuit and prepares to leave the station, intending to end his life in the void of space. As he moves outward and is about to disconnect from the station's harness, a sudden wave of doubt crashes over him. He struggles with conflicting thoughts, realizing that he cannot give up so easily. In the end, he abandons the plan, reconnects to the station, and returns inside, clinging to the faintest hope. The story then jumps ahead several more years. Lee's hair has grown unkempt and long, and his body is covered in intricate tattoos. The walls of the station are now completely filled with detailed drawings inspired by Briggs's diary. He has stopped maintaining the station, and his living space has become cluttered and chaotic, resembling an animal's den. His mind has fractured further. He talks to himself constantly, hallucinates frequently, and spends most of his time lost in elaborate, imaginary fantasies. One day, after years of isolation, someone from outside finally contacts him, providing precise instructions for docking and transferring to another spacecraft. It is unclear whether this contact is real or merely a product of his imagination after so many years alone. Overwhelmed with excitement, he rushes to the window and sees something astonishing. Immediately, he shaves and cuts his hair, preparing meticulously for the docking procedure.
I'll be one of the first to be going back after so long.
When he arrives at the new location, he discovers a massive cube-shaped object orbiting Earth. Entering it, he finds a structure resembling a man-made building, complete with corridors, rooms, and doors. As he explores, he comes across several unusual rooms. One contains a photograph of a rocket launch, another holds a typewriter on a table, and an auditorium lies empty yet intact. Finally, he reaches a room that appears to house the structure's main server. In front of it, an old television plays a recording of an interview featuring Lee himself, filmed before his departure from Earth for the space station.
I mean, is there gonna be housework to do? I mean, is it gonna be like
Lee presses a button, illuminating the room fully. He discovers a mainframe containing a book titled A Love Story as Told by You. Inside, he finds images of Captain Lee Briggs alongside a massive cubic alien object, hinting at influences on human development. As he studies the book's references, he is shocked to see his own name listed alongside a mysterious code. Driven by curiosity and a surge of adrenaline, he carefully enters the code into the computer, eager to uncover what it will reveal. Instantly, Lee finds himself in a normal hotel room, dressed in a suit. A calm, computer-generated voice begins to speak, explaining that this projection is the only way to reach him. The voice expresses relief at his presence, but also reveals a staggering truth. He is the last human alive, as all traces of human civilization have long since vanished.
I can't tell you how relieved. It's all gone.
It empathizes with his profound loneliness, emphasizing that connection is one of the most valuable experiences for any living being, and explains that it has been observing humans for a long time. The cubic structure, the voice continues, serves as a kind of scrapbook, preserving the memories of humanity's brief existence.
You gotta remember to...
Finally, the voice tells Lee that it looks forward to meeting him. He accepts the invitation, opens the hotel room door, and is immediately transported into a vast, dark expanse where a projection of the entire universe unfolds around him. As he takes in the immense beauty and unimaginable scale, he feels a deep sense of peace and happiness. The story concludes with a computer-generated voice stating that this has been a remarkable experiment in human connection, one that will be remembered. Lee realizes that he has experienced what many others once did. He is not truly alone, and he has felt love.
She and you.